Okay, welcome everybody. This video is going to be put together specifically for UC Riverside recreation students. Most of the martial arts instructors over there realize that martial arts is often done hands-on, and that's how we do it in judo as well. By the way, I'm Brian Money. I'm one of the directors of the UCR Rec Center Judo Club. I also run the Riverside Youth Judo Club Police Activities League, and that's where we're at right now. Both of the clubs are connected, so most of the instructors teach at both clubs. What we want to do is give the students, while they're out kind of quarantining themselves, without a better word, give them something to watch, something to do. Hopefully you'll be able to practice a few of these techniques until we're able to recover from this. I want to make sure that it's safe though, okay? That's very important. From a historical perspective, again, this is Kodokan Judo. We say Kodokan Judo because that's where it all started, was at the Kodokan in Japan. It was developed by a man by the name of Jigoro Kano, who's right behind me, in the center of the Japanese writing there. Just for perspective, to my left, the picture up there is R.O. Sensei, Tadashi Hiroka, who passed away here several months ago. We miss him a great deal. He was actually the head instructor at UCR for a long time. So anyhow, what we want to do is we want to give you guys just kind of a basic intro course, and then we'll keep adding on to it as the quarter goes on. Judo in Japanese means the gentle way. It's not necessarily gentle. We get hurt all the time. It's a safe sport. It's no less safe than any other sport, basketball, football, things like that. But it is a martial art. It's a combat sport as well. When we say it's the gentle way, and that's literally what it translates to, what we're saying is we don't strike, we don't kick, we don't gouge each other's eyes out. Judo is based on grappling or wrestling, and we use things like throws and pins and chokes, arm bars. We'll discuss those later on. But for the new students, what we want to do is we want to make sure that you guys understand the fundamental concepts. One of the very first things that any judo player learns is falling, ukemi. Ukemi means falling. There's different ways to fall: backwards, forwards. We roll, we jump, we do all sorts of things. Any good judoka, a student of judo, can recover from almost any position of falling. We throw each other very hard, especially in competition. You'll hit the mat quite hard, and these mats are not soft, and they shouldn't be. If they were soft, you'd actually get injured. So they're pretty tough mats, but we want to start you off with some good ukemi practice. So I'm going to ask my daughter Danielle Money to come up here and demonstrate some ukemi, some basic ukemi. You guys could do this at your house, on the carpet, in the yard. Make sure there are no obstacles. That's the biggest thing. Things like coffee tables, TVs. Be very, very careful. Okay, so the first thing she's going to demonstrate is falling practice from her back. Okay, so she's going to lay down this way. Okay, and you can see her knees are slightly bent. Her head is up. That's really important because you never want to hit your head. You keep your chin tucked. If you hit your head, you're going to get a concussion when you fall. Okay, her fingers are crossed and up, and she's going to strike the mat at roughly about a 45-degree angle, about half of 90 degrees. You don't want to hit it at 90 degrees. You're going to hurt your shoulders. You're going to see she's going to strike the mat, bring her hands right back up. Okay, go ahead, Danielle. Good. Brings them right back up. You slap, bring them right back up. That's physics. If I slap and I leave my hands on the ground, the energy goes into the mat, bounces back, comes back into my hands. What we want to do is slap, bring our hands right back up. So we're going to do 5 now, and I'm going to count in Japanese, which is how we typically count in judo. It is a Japanese martial art. Okay? So yoi. Yoi means ready. Ich, ni, san, shi, go. Hey, good. Okay, sit up, Danielle. Okay, so basically, like I said, it's very simple. That's the very first fall you learn in judo. When I was a new judo kid, about 5 years old, we practiced falling for like 3 months. We didn't get to do anything else but falling. That's how important it is. After then, you could start practicing other techniques. So she did 5 slaps or ukemi slaps from her back. Now she's going to go from sitting. And as you can see, she's sitting, her knees are slightly bent. When she goes back, she's going to tuck her chin so her head doesn't hit the ground. She's going to slap the mat. Her feet are going to come up perpendicular off the ground, and then she's just going to come right back. But watch her arms. She's going to slap and come right back up. We're going to do 3 of these. Again, 45-degree angle. Yoi. Ich. Ni. San. Hey, good. Okay. So, we just went from the fully on the back, head up, into sitting. The next technique is squatting, and this could be rather difficult, especially for most of us Americans. Danielle luckily has some really good grace and balance. I don't. This is hard for people with bad knees, but practice it, try. Don't ever say you can't do something. Give it a shot. Even if you do it slowly or have to use your hands to get yourself up, that's okay. So now she's going to be squatting. Her hands are going to go out. She tucks her chin. She's going to drop to her butt and just do the same technique she did a minute ago. We'll do 3. Yoi. Ich. Nip. San. All right. All the way up, Daniel. Okay, so she's very, like I said, she's very limber and very artistic, athletic. I am not. That would be very difficult for me, even after all these years. When I was younger, I could do it. But again, we try. We do our best. That's the biggest thing. The last technique with back ukemi is going to be standing. And all we're going to do now is we're going to squat and then drop to our butt and just follow up the sequence here. Okay, again, her hands are crossed, one finger over the other. She tucks her chin. Yoi. Ich. Nip. San. Hey, very good. Okay. So, that's the standard back fall. Maybe later on we'll show you guys a front fall. We do actually, we can show them real quick. Just do one front fall. You can do it from a standing. We'll have you guys demonstrate this later, but right now, just so you guys see, we also fall from the front. This is more if you get knocked down or if you trip on something, so you don't break your beak, your nose. It's gonna hurt a lot, right? So go ahead, Danielle. Pushed you. Go ahead. Hey. Okay. So she takes her hands and she slaps the mat, protects her face. And this should become second nature eventually. Any good judo player walking along trips on something, very rarely do we get hurt severely. We may get a couple scratches or scrapes, but most of the time we can fall pretty darn well. You ever watch basketball? See a basketball player when they fall and they tuck their whole body up. It's really interesting. It's much like judo. They're keeping their head from hitting that hardwood. So what you see Danielle doing right now is fixing her hair because she has long, crazy hair. And in judo, we got to make sure all that stuff's up, especially in competition. She's actually wearing a black t-shirt. We require a white t-shirt. However, right before this, I gave her one of our club t-shirts for the judo club, and it's pretty cool. So She's wearing that right now. All right. I want her to demonstrate. Do not try this yet. We will cover this later on. But I want you guys to see it. It's very beautiful. Called Zenpo Kite, forward rolls. We're going to have Danielle start over here. She's going to do right side this way and then left side this way. Okay, whenever you're ready, Danielle. Okay, right side. Then she's going to come back and do left side. Hey, good. Okay, so that seems, like just a roll, more or less. But it's more than that. This is actually how we fall in judo. When you throw someone, they're going to fall on one side or the other. So Zenpo Kaiten becomes a really important exercise for us. From white belt all the way up to 12th degree red belt or whatever you are, the highest level, you're always going to practice Ukemi, falling practice, every single practice. So important, okay? One thing I neglected to show is some of our etiquette. As we enter our club, we always bow as we enter the club. Bowing, and especially now, this should have a lot of meaning to all of us now. In Japan, where this martial art was developed, when we're facing each other, if I see Danielle, I don't go, hey, what's up, okay? Social distancing and all that kind of stuff, right? So the Japanese, most often, Danielle, okay, we bow. And we bow as we enter the room. It's not any sort of religious thing, nothing like that. It's just based on respect and being grateful, okay? As we enter the mat, this mat area, this in a way is, I hate to use this word, but I'm going to use it. The mat is sacred to us. Not sacred religiously, but sacred in that this is our place where we practice judo. It should be clean, and we don't want to attract dirty germs and stuff on here because we're going to be rolling around on this thing. So we treat this mat very, very, very special. So we bow as we enter the mat. As we leave, we bow away from the mat. We bow as we exit the building. If I go to work out with Danielle, onegaishimasu, we bow. And it's much like in boxing. You know, if we were going to box, we touch gloves, oh yeah, okay? That lets everyone know, hey, we're ready, okay? Or if you're fencing, we tip foils, okay? We're ready. In judo, hey, onegaishimasu, okay? We're ready. We're ready to fight, okay? So that's an etiquette thing. We'll talk more about etiquette as time goes on because I don't want to spend this whole video on that. What I do want to do is show you one throw. Now, I will say this. Please don't grab your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, or your Labrador and try this, okay? Not until one of us are there to watch, because it is very important. We're going to show you a way you could kind of practice this on your own, but don't do it with a living human being yet, because that other person may not know how to fall. And judo is very physics-based, and it could go bad real quick if you don't know what you're doing. So we're just asking that before you start throwing folks around, you let us be present. Hopefully we'll come out of this sooner than later, and we'll be able to kind of watch over you guys. But more or less, the first technique I'd like to show you is Ippon seoi nage. Ippon means one. Seoi, shoulder. Nage, throw. Ippon seoi nage, one arm shoulder throw. This is all the things you see in the cowboy movies, right? Well, maybe those of you who watch cowboy movies. So me and Danielle, we're going to fight, and she throws a punch at me. Oh, right? Okay, and we've seen this technique in a lot of movies. Okay, Chuck Norris movies, things like that. So it's just a one-arm shoulder throw. If you're in wrestling, sometimes they'll call it a one-arm takedown. But it's kind of one of the very basic principal throws in judo. It's a forward throw, and that's what we always like to start off with. So hopefully you guys could see this okay. But basically, we're going to stand about 6 feet apart initially before we're ready to practice, and we bow. okay? And the bow should be just far enough where I could still see her. Now we come up and we take our grip, okay? So I'm gonna grip Danielle's, if I'm right-handed, I'm gonna grip her left judo lapel, Eddie, the scarf for the lapel right here. My left hand is gonna go under her right elbow, and I'm gonna grab that part, okay? And she's gonna do the same to me, okay? Now, if we're standing in a just what they call a normal position, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my right toe and step to her right toe, okay? A judo throw has 3 parts to it. Off balance, fitting, and throwing. What they call Kuzushi, Sakuri, Kite, okay? So the Kuzushi, off balance, here. You see her slightly going on her toes. I'm not yanking her real hard, okay? That's not gonna be effective. Just a little bit, okay? Just enough to get her off balance. There's the Kuzushi. The Sakuri, the fitting. I let go with my right hand. I come underneath, and I bring my left foot all the way around, okay? And I pick her up, okay? Nice and smooth. Okay, again. Right toe to right toe. Off balance. Just get her a little bit on her toes. Kuzushi. Sakuri. Okay? Kake is the throwing. I'll throw her one time. You you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we'll do this like 1/4 speed because I love my daughter. I don't want to smush her, okay? All right. So that's a basic Ippon Sewanage. Remember, don't do this to anybody yet until we get a chance to have you in the room on the tatami, the mats, and we have a chance to kind of watch you, okay? But what we are going to do is we're going to show you a way you can practice this at home safely. All you need is bands, which we have over there, or you could use a belt, like a judo belt, or pretty much anything. So I think we're going to pause the video, and then we're going to run over to the band area here, okay? Okay, so we've magically appeared here in front of the band area. We use these for a lot of different things. We use this, here at the Youth Judo Club, we use it for our special needs kids sometimes to help strengthen them. Some of them are in wheelchairs, some don't have the use of their legs. So we use it for their gripping strength and help basically develop their core. It's really great if we have a judo student who has an injury. This is a good area to work out in, but we can kind of work around the injury. Okay, so we're going to show you guys how to practice your Ippon Seoinage on bands. But real quick, just since we're here, if you look up here, you'll see a bunch of Japanese writing. One of the things I mentioned earlier, this being a Japanese martial art, judo is one of the last martial arts to follow the 7 virtues of Bushido, the art of war. And what we have up here is every one of the virtues. And I always like to go over this with the students. I know it's kind of corny, but I'm corny. Okay? So right here we have Seigi, right decision and rectitude. Basically a judoka or samurai all the way back then was bound to always make right decisions, rectitude, right actions. Okay? Yuki, bravery and heroism. Okay, bravery, courage. Yuki actually literally translates to like liver or something. And this is where your courage lays. In the United States, we would say heart. But yeah, you're expected to be brave and courageous. Next one is Jin. This is my favorite. Jin, compassion and benevolence. Even the ferocious samurai were required to be compassionate and benevolent, always helping people, never being a bully, never being a jerk to other people. Okay, there's other martial arts you could do that with. If you're on a judo mat, you're expected to be compassionate and decent to one another. Regi, courtesy and right action. We always talk about courtesy in judo. I'm a higher rank than Danielle, but that doesn't matter. I'm not going to just walk in front of Danielle, oh, hey, what's up, okay? If I have to walk in front of Danielle, I'm going to say, oh, excuse me. And I even do it in the hallways. I'm a police detective right across the street over here. And I find myself doing this with my coworkers and they laugh at me. But courtesy, something we need in our world, I believe. And judo really pushes that. Mikado, truthfulness and sincerity. Always be truthful. In the old days and the European knights and the Eastern knights, the samurai, you were truthful to a point, even if it meant your death. I think, certainly we wouldn't want anyone to get hurt out of truthfulness, but being truthful is a very important thing. It's a concept of judo that we all need to make sure we practice. Maiyo, honor and glory. It's a little bit different than what it may sound. I'm not talking about taking your trophies and medals and going, oh, look what I did. That's not it. The honor and the glory is in working together, going together as one team, helping your teammates, all of these things, the most important things. And then lastly, chugi, which is devotion and loyalty. Loyalty to one another, loyalty to my club, loyalty to my martial art. Anyhow, kind of a corny thing, but I thought it was important. So remember Ippon Seoenage, the technique I showed you with Danielle. You could do this with bands if you have the stretch bands, or if you could get a hold of an inner tube, judo gi obi belt, anything like that. Okay. Remember, our very first step. If she's going to face away and I'm going to face you, okay? So she's going to take and cross her right foot over. Now she's not holding on with her right hand anymore. She's going to bring that left foot behind her and then come around and hook under the band, okay? See how her legs are slightly bent, just a little bit. Her head is forward, okay? Can you do 10 of them for me, Danielle? Okay, so she's going to do it on her own count.
Yes.
Okay. Gives a little resistance.
Son.
Toes should be pointed forward. Okay.
Go.
You don't want to have your feet too far apart. You always want your feet nice and straight, though, at the very end. Hi, Sotomare. Okay, so anyhow, like I said, this is going to be a short video, just more or less an intro. We went over some history. We went over what judo means. Judo is I think it's a martial art it is kind of shrinking in a way, but it's been picked up in so many other areas. You see it out in the MMA, you see it in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The big kind of funny judo joke is, what does BJJ mean? Basically just judo. It came from judo. That's where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came from. They just took a lot of the techniques out that we still use, like the throws, the beautiful throws and such, and they focus mainly on the ground. Sometimes you'll hear, well, in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, all fights go to the ground, and that's mostly true. In judo, we say, yeah, but all fights start standing up. So we practice both, about 50% stand-up throwing, and 50% mat work, pins, chokes, arm bars. So we talked about that. Showed you one of the most important things in judo, the falling, the ukemi. Okay, you don't want to get a concussion, guys. It's a bummer. I've had them before. You end up with a headache, sometimes for a day, sometimes for a week. Okay, and it could certainly cause significant injury. So we really, really, really work hard to avoid that, and I think we do pretty good as a sport. Judo is a martial art and a sport. It is in the Olympics, been in the Olympics since 1964. So it's very powerful, very fast. It's really got some really neat traits to it. And I think it's an outstanding self-defense. I've been a police officer over a quarter century, and it's kept me alive. I'm not trying to brag, I'm not trying to get all dramatic, but I'm telling you, I've used this many, many times. And it's kept me from having to hurt people really bad, and it saved my life. So I believe in judo, and we use it to help kids, at-risk kids, special needs kids, typical kids, students at UCR. We want to give you guys an outlet and a venue, learn a little bit about some cool culture, Japanese culture, and a self-defense. Okay, so this will end our first introductory lesson, and then as time goes on, we'll add more. All right?